I knew.
The message of this is not to, because Bill Maher, first of all, I totally agree. He's totally in the right to do it. And I loved his monologue. Even though I disagree with most everything he believes politically, he was right to do this and he was right to speak out about it. But this isn't about that dinner. It's about the next one, because this is the modern left. It's an attempt always to intimidate people into not ever doing it again. It's to silence yourselves or we'll do it for you. That's the purpose of this op-ed, so that the next comedian or the next person on the American left chooses not to speak to Donald Trump. This is all an effort to get people not to do what you just said, which is to talk to each other and our political leaders.
Wow.
100%
Jennings,
correct.
a genius.
Yeah.
Jennings, I mean, he really nails it every week, Eric.
Mm-hmm. He's single-handedly carrying CNN. It's amazing. Because
I mean, he's so sharp. Go ahead.
Yep. Oh, no, I say there literally are people who are watching CNN only to watch him on that show. And
wow,
he's extremely sharp. I could still see him as a press secretary.
That's a good
later
job
in the administration.
How about head of the RNC, that shithole organization that doesn't seem to have anybody at the top of it doing anything?
It could be. I don't know that. I think he's happy in media though, because there was talk of him replacing McConnell.
Yeah.
And running for the seat, which I wouldn't mind. I mean, that dude is sharp. Imagine him on the Senate floor.
Look at the freaks that come out of Kentucky. I mean, you've got, well, for better or for worse. I mean, Massey, you've got Comer, you've got McConnell,
Ryan Paul.
You've got George Clooney. I mean, people don't realize that he's another. What is the deal with Kentucky? It's such a spread politically for a small state.
Well, if you look at history, the migration of the Scots-Irish through there, you're going to have some interesting ties. Like, well, here's a weird example. It's kind of tying with Kentucky, but there's a town in Ohio, because Kentucky and Ohio touch as well. There's a town in Ohio where they had like a particular furniture making business or something, and there's more people from a Kentucky town in that Ohio town than there are in the original town in Kentucky. So there's this weird cross-pollination between the two states. And Chris Banks says, don't blame the Scots or the Irish.
Oh, okay. I'm half. You know, one thing I learned, we're going to talk about Bill Maher in a second. I learned that his mother is Jewish. Her name was Berman. She's a Hungarian Jew going back to the Holocaust. It's very confusing. He didn't learn that his mother was a Jew until he was 15 or 16 years of age. I did not know that. He thought and went to church as an Irish Catholic, doing communion, doing all the different Bubba Misa things you do. His father was extremely Catholic. The mother went along for the ride at some point. And apparently this was quite staggering to him to learn. Heavily Catholic New Jersey family, Eric. Democratic working class, father worked in media, all of a sudden learns at the age of 15 or 16 that he is a Jew, and apparently rocked his world.
Well, yeah, I thought it was the reverse.
So did I.
He's just like you.
He's just like me. I am Bill Maher. Yes. That's exactly the same. No wonder we're like polar opposites. When we met, we hated each other's guts. But that was more about his probably addictive behavior than my sobriety. Let me just put it that way. And his being a Jersey person and myself living in Manhattan for over 20 years. But that being said, I thought it was the other way around. And now I learned last night, because of this incident, he was talking with someone in an interview. I was reading some interviews.
Morgan, I believe.
Piers Morgan. Yeah, it doesn't really come up there, but it came up somewhere else. Piers Morgan was in the den of his lair there on Club Random, and I think he had half a load on Piers Morgan, because he was all jolly faced with his belly hanging out and looked like he was half in the bag.
Piers Morgan, keep in mind, he just ended his contracts with Sky and the Rupert family like a month or so ago. So he owns everything that he's doing now.
Oh, weird.
So he might well be fat, dumb, and happy because
he looked fat, dumb, and happy.
Well, and
of course, the original conversation comes up, and it comes back later in the interview about Maher meeting with Donald Trump, and then, of course, the attack by the brilliant, insane Larry David, who apparently has one of the worst cases of Trump derangement syndrome in Hollywood.
Yes, and somebody sent this, or I just happened to see it before I went on. And honestly, I'm like, okay, well, there could be another issue with Larry David besides his hatred of Trump. Maybe he isn't super. Well, here, I'll let it speak first.
Okay.
All right. This is.
Late, and I couldn't help but notice a very disturbing pattern emerging, which is that many of the predators, not all, but many of them, are Jews.
Now that could have been Candace Owens.
Yeah, I don't know. Is he talking about Epstein or something? Or
I'm pretty sure Weinstein.
I see. I don't know when that was.
Woody Allen charge.
That was his failed attempt at trying to do a copy of Woody Allen's stand-up. Larry had a very difficult stand-up career, according to Richard Lewis, and other people have told me. I mean, I met Larry David, a couple of times. He came to Lampoon to one of our meetings about a show we were putting on at the Village Gate, and he stormed out in protest, and nobody was paying attention to him, and he just stood up, it was a writers meeting, and I don't know, must have been 15 or 20 of us in there, and he stands up and says, "I don't have to put up with this," and storms out. And somebody said, "Who the fuck was that?" And this was, must have been like 1987. This was way before Seinfeld, but he was full of himself then. So
was he more of a writer than a stand-up? Because it doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Comic writers,
but he was on Fridays, which was the ABC pale imitation of SNL. And he would do stand-up. He would come out, look at the audience. They'd heckle him or not laugh, and he'd just say, "Go fuck yourselves," and walk off. I mean, Richard Lewis told me that, and a bunch of other people told me that. At Catch or in New York somewhere, was not happy doing the job of being a stand-up.
All right. Well, I just saw that and I was like, well, he hates Trump.
But he may hate Bill Maher for what I'm saying is he may hate Bill Maher for being a successful stand-up.
He could. I mean, Bill Maher handled it pretty classily when he was talking with Piers Morgan, when he was just like,
yeah,
I don't know. He's like, I don't know if I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
But, I don't want to be an enemy.
By the way, for people at home, and if you're just tuning in and there's commercials, you can go to unstructured.locals.com and your spectrum will be lightened. I'm talking to the people in the future. But in the present, there's an op-ed that Larry David wrote that Eric is referring to, where he calls it "My Dinner with Adolf," and he is being in a comic vein, taking the Bill Maher character and having dinner with Adolf Hitler, and he conflates what Bill Maher said into Trump being Adolf Hitler, and he himself, Larry David, having dinner with Adolf Hitler. Bill Maher said, it's an insult to 6 million dead Jews, but other than that, who cares? According to Bill Maher, he said, either we talk to the other side or we don't. He's not wrong, Eric. I mean, he said at some point we've got to talk to the other side. I said this on this show nearly a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, talking about the idea of having national debates across the country at multiple levels. I said this over 2 years ago. At some point, something's got to give if you want to have a nation united, or never mind united, just cordial.
Oh, yeah, Bill Maher won a lot of points in my book. He's good half the time and a pain in the ass half the time. But, again, that was one of the better ones he's done. And it goes a long way that he sat down and then he came and reported what it was like. He didn't just say, "Oh, I went in there and told the son of a bitch, blah 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 blah," and skewed it all out. He was very honest about the whole thing,
Right.
and I appreciate it. And I appreciate that he busts Trump's balls now. After
ahead.
fair enough, fair game.
Well, that's fair game. I don't
No,
care. I don't think it's very funny, and I think it's inaccurate. Other than that, I just don't think it's very funny. You know, busting balls, anybody could bust balls. You know, Bacicaloop, the fruit salesman in Abbott and Costello, could bust balls. It doesn't make it funny.
Yeah, I totally agree. We got Viva folks rating from Rumble now. Good to see everybody.
They're all running naked through the woods to get here.
That's right. They're Florida men. It is a rampage.
What about
Florida
the guy, the head of the Democratic Party of Florida, stepping down, saying the Democratic Party in Florida is kaput? Today, this broke today. He said Florida's done. It's the anti-California, the absolute reverse of California.
Yeah, I could see that.
I didn't know it was that strong. I don't follow Florida as closely as I do, you know, where I am now. But yeah, the head of the Democratic Party stepped down there. I mean, that's kind of interesting. By the way, we got a guy here running named Steve Hilton. I don't know if you know who this guy is.
The Brit from Fox.
This guy is taking out the oxygen of the room for any Republican candidacy for the governor of California. Not that there's a lot of oxygen in that room to begin with, but the idea that this guy believes with that accent and his photos of him with Boris Johnson are going to get him the governorship of California is preposterous. Absolutely preposterous. There's another Fox talking head. He's been making the rounds. He announced his candidacy yesterday for the governorship. And, you know, I would think that, like I said, the only way to win this thing is to have someone, you know, like a Mel Gibson or some celebrity conservative step up to the mat, including what's his name?
Like Arnold did back in the day.
Like Arnold did back in the day, and use their conservative celebrity to drive a stake into whoever's running against them, because it is doable, but not by a bald-headed Brit. I'm sorry, that ain't gonna cut it. That ain't gonna cut it.
Well, that's true. But speaking of other Democrats, we've got this clip. I don't know if you saw it. Oh.
Favorably in December of New York, Democrats on Chuck Schumer view him favorably. In December of 2024, that was just a few months ago, it was 73%. Look at where that number has fallen to in just a few months. It is now down to just 52%. That is the lowest I could ever find in Siena College on how Democrats in Chuck Schumer's home state view him. And keep in mind, if you're thinking about a primary challenge, it would be a few years away. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's favorable rating among Democrats is considerably higher, in the 60s. So he is doing quite poorly in his own home state of New York. I never thought I'd see the day in which just 52% of New York Democrats would view Chuck Schumer favorably. It's almost unfathomable.
Yeah, I like the footnote, the tiny footnote here. I think it will look much bigger than the Schumer team this morning as they look at that. When you're talking about Chuck Schumer, why? Is there an answer to your question?
Anyway, I just wanted to point that out because there's been other stuff. She's going around touring with Bernie Sanders. I think she's making a move to primary him.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that what's her name, who was at the UN up until recently, went back into the House.
Stefanik for governor.
Yeah, El Stefanik should run against AOC for that seat. This is just my political point. The governorship of New York is not going to change the makeup of the Senate. If you allow AOC to get into the Senate, you can block her. She's vulnerable in this wide open seat that's coming with Schumer retiring. Stefanik should run. I'm telling you right now, you've not heard this anywhere. I'm just urging Stefanik to run against AOC. A, she can mop the floor with her. B, I want to see the debates. C, the Republicans can take that seat from New York State and hold it for 2 decades. I'm telling you right now, this is a doable situation. Allowing her to get in there, she will stay in there as long as she wants and then run for the presidency when she feels ready, like Kamala Harris did. And this seat is vulnerable. I'm not talking about Schumer. I'm saying Stefanik versus AOC is vulnerable, and we could take that seat.
Also, she's having problems within her district.
Oh yeah,
Cortez.
Yeah.
So AOC, I don't know if you had seen this about there's literally a red light district problem running rampant that has local leaders begging Kash Patel, please come here and clean up her district.
It's another reason she wants out of the House. She's got a shitload of cash that isn't doing her any good. She can go into the Senate and be a kingmaker in the Senate and not have to worry about this little neighborhood problem here anymore. And once you get into the Senate, she could be there as long as she wants. I'm saying now, again, that's why I've been harping all week about the RNC not having any leadership. There should be somebody out there saying what I just said. Someone who knows New York politics, who's the head of the RNC. Trump's daughter-in-law was running it. She, bailed out, turned it over to this Casey, whatever her name is, out of Kentucky, I think. Another one out of Kentucky. And Whatley, Michael Whatley, there's no word how much money these people make or what they do all day. But this is the type of thing that they should be doing. Actually analyzing potential races and getting out ahead of the storyline. I mean, AOC has been on tour with Bernie Sanders. Where's the Republican version of that?
I don't know.
Where are the candidates? Who am I? And I'm just being Joe Blow. Who am I supposed to vote for on the Republican House races that are coming up in 14 months? Where is my slate of candidates? Where do I send money? Who do I send it to nationally? How do I retain the House? None of these things are being done by this rhino-run RNC of Whatley and Casey, whatever her name is. They got to go. They got to go. Put someone in there who's fucking MAGA and let's get this thing rolling, or you're going to lose the House and you're going to lose the Senate. I mean, they really have to get super aggressive. I know there's a lot on the administration's plate, but that plate is going to be broken when they lose and if they lose the House in 16 months.
Well, I feel like they've been especially neglectful about the House.
Yeah.
Not only the Republican National Committee, but MAGA.
MAGA, definitely.
Trump.
Definitely.
Giving away
somebody said this morning, it's Scott Pressler and Pray for Rain. It's one guy. It's a one-man show and he's trying to flip New Jersey. There's 49 other states that are in contest.
Oh, and he had to run over to Wisconsin and failed on it.
It's not his fault. Make him the head of the RNC then. Who cares? Give him the power and the money.
They need to do something.
Get these two rhinos out of there, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, I just wanted to get that out because it was bugging the shit out of me.
All right, well, at least we had a couple feel-good stories, and one of them is our thumbnail. That's actually one of two, but we've got this ex-New Mexico judge and his wife were arrested for harboring an undocumented Tren de Agua member. So it's like, we don't just harbor illegals, which I can understand to a point, but let's go ahead and harbor a gang member. That's who we want. And it blows my mind how awful these people are. And then we also have even more. So he's a former judge.
Yeah. He was banned for life first by the judgeship of New Mexico, and then they arrested him the next day. Now, and you got this girl.
Okay, now this one here. This one is an actual sitting judge. And let me go ahead and play the little bit from Pam Bondi from her Fox desk.
Yeah, her Fox office.
Yeah.
And to set the stage for you and Sandra, this was truly horrific. This guy was in court being prosecuted by a state prosecutor for domestic violence battery. He had beat up two people, a guy and a girl, hit the guy 30 times, knocked him to the ground, choked him, beat up a woman so badly they both had to go to the hospital. And John, it's so rare for victims to want to cooperate. They wanted to cooperate. They were sitting in the courtroom with the state prosecutor. The judge learns that ICE was outside to get the guy because he had been deported in 2013, came back in our country, commits these crimes, charged with committing these crimes, victims in court. Judge finds out. She goes out in the hallway, screams at the immigration officers. She's furious, visibly shaken, upset, sends them off to talk to the chief judge. She comes back in the courtroom. You're not going to believe this. Takes the defendant and the defense attorney back in her chambers, takes them out of private exit and tells them to leave, while a state prosecutor and victims of domestic violence are sitting in the courtroom. And
this is what we discussed. This is what Tom Homan was talking about for months. at what point are you breaking the law by harboring felons? I mean,
she's breaking the law in 100 directions. I mean, it's so hers is just so blatant that she's obviously a lunatic because it is in the middle of a trial. You know, he's literally on trial. I love that. So you've got a domestic violence guy, everything else, beating people up, whatever, and she takes him and the lawyer and all the way out through her chambers. She stopped the whole trial. She stopped. It's wrong on so many levels. She should be removed from the bench immediately. I mean, no question, to go with the arrest. And whoever the senior judges are or whatever, they should just say, no, she's off the bench, because just what she did in the trial. Never mind the illegal part. Okay, I'm a defendant and whatever, and just a normal case, and she just walks him out the back door.
No, I understand, but there's two things I want to say. One is that they perceive these illegal immigrants being chased by ICE as part of the Runaway Slave Act. They're conflating this morally to escaping slaves. Just so you know, these are my friends. I know how they've talked to me about it. The second thing is about illegal gang members. Antonio Villagrosa was a gang member in Los Angeles his entire life, and he became mayor of Los Angeles. Being a gang member to them is meaningless. It's meaningless. I know this is hard for the right to understand, so I come here to explain the thinking on the left. They perceive ICE to be Confederate slave owners going after their runaway slaves. I know this is hard to understand, so I will speak slowly because it's so crazy. And secondly, they do not look at gang members as the right looks at them, because they've had mayors and judges and all different people who used to be gang members in various cities rise to the top of the food chain politically. So it's another complete different take that they have, Eric.
I know, but like with this judge, I'm like, I don't even know if the guy's a gang member. He's just
no, right.
Alleged white beater and person beater.
I'm just talking generally. I'm just talking in general. These two factors are coming into play, and the right doesn't understand how the left thinks. So I can come in and explain their mentality on these two issues.
Right, and you do have to speak slowly because
I know
it is
confusing
and ridiculous.
I know. No, I agree. But I'm trying to explain it the best I can from the left's perspective. I'm not, backing it at all. It's completely insane. But the reason they're going to El Salvador, the reason they're going down there, they perceive this stuff similar to the civil rights and the anti-slave legislation from back in the 1850s. They perceive that to be the moral civil rights high ground that they're staking out these issues on. And secondly, the gang thing is completely meaningless in the democratic liberal culture, completely meaningless.
Well, and it is ironic that they're doing the conflation of the slaves because I do feel on the other side of it that we have people abusing illegal labor and using them as slave labor.
Oh yeah.
So that slave parallel I could definitely see, because we're like,
they went to Home Depot in Pomona yesterday and rounded up the Mexicans or the Latino workers who stand in the parking lot. All of them were illegal. They got a whole bunch of them, and now Cinco de Mayo's are being canceled all around the country. The festivities and the parades, and I urge Trump to switch already from the Latino culture to the Africans who are here from Namibia, Zaire, the Congo, and Kenya, who came in hundreds and hundreds of thousands. Start carting them off back to Africa, because the African Americans in this country are not going to flip out and denounce Trump like the Latinos are in the major cities in this country, who are living in fear right now because half of their relatives are illegal aliens and half are legal. You got to understand where the left is coming from on this issue. Half of them are illegal, half of them are legal. It's a mixed bag, but I think if you switched over and began deporting people from other countries, like separate from central, fair game, back to Africa, back to these other countries that they came from, you will not get the blowback you're getting now.
It could be. I mean, there's definitely a rift amongst the quote black culture that I've always found fascinating, because we had, for example, in the Army, black soldiers who were from Africa, had an accent, everything.
Yeah.
And the American black soldiers had nothing to do with it.
That's what I'm saying. They will not go to the mat for them on MSNBC. They're just not going to do it. And I think Trump should mix it up a little bit and start deporting. Look, it's fair game. I mean, they're doing their own thing. They could go just as badly.
If he could even deport anybody right now. I mean, the
right
numbers,
now
he's been stymied. I don't know if we've even got 100,000 out.
No,
I mean,
no, they want it to be one by one. And the answer is, you just got to do what you got to do and let them come after you. That's the answer to this issue. If let it all go to the Supreme Court, let the Supreme Court rule. Meantime, you deport hundreds of thousands and you just say, can't find them. They're gone. Fuck yourself. That's it. There is no other answer.
I've got one more.
Okay.
Roll out E-Verify for real.
Okay, but this is a separate thing of physically getting.
I know, but I'm saying we're trying. We're 20 million people. How do you move them? Well, go after the employers. I think you
simultaneously. I agree with you. I agree. But how do you physically get the ones out that are in the pipeline right now to get out? You know what I mean? How do you get them out? Yeah. You have to physically remove them. If you put them in holding cells, the Democrats will be at the door of that American institution that's a holding cell in droves protesting. The only way is to get them physically out of the country. This deal with the El Salvadorian president was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You got to make that deal with other countries down there simultaneously. And Gitmo, as you pointed out, is also a great holding area. They're not going to take a boat to Gitmo because that's a military base. But if you begin to, and Barnes was talking about this today. Now it's expanded to tariffs. Now it's going to expand to other areas, negotiating with Putin. They're just going to keep pushing it. It's not about illegal aliens anymore, Eric. The judges have moved into other foreign policy areas.
Yeah.
I mean, either you just throw up your hands and give up, or you plow ahead. It doesn't seem to be too many choices here.
Well, right now, yeah. I mean, they're just battling at every single thing that Trump can throw at them. I mean, he's still signing executive orders. I don't even know what number he's up to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to criticize Congress a little bit because I haven't seen a single executive order turned into a law.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's shameless. They want to run out this clock and get him out of there. He's their worst nightmare. Nobody bothers them. If you had like a Bush kind of president, nobody would even bother these people.
Yeah. People are bitching.
Speaking of politicians, you see the Cuomo thing in Brooklyn yesterday? He had a forum. Andrew Cuomo had a forum in Brooklyn because he's running for mayor, and protesters came out of the audience and took over the stage, and he's kind of sitting behind them. I thought it was quite threatening physically, because they literally came up to the front of this auditorium and took over the microphones and started, holding up signs that he killed all these people.
All of which they did with Bernie a few years ago.
Yeah. But this one, they were yelling murderer. And I thought, dude, if you're saying someone's a murderer, you might kill them yourself in some sort of judicial, self-sentencing.
That sounds like that was definitely coordinated.
Oh, no, they were. Oh, yeah. They waited till the right moment came up. And the reality of it is the guy who's running second to him is a complete Marxist. And if Cuomo is taken out, and I believe that the people doing this, and they do this here in LA, where the Marxists go after a mainstream Democrat who does something corrupt, and they flood the zone, calling the newspapers on him, having protests at his rallies to get him out, to replace them with a Marxist. Because keep in mind, this is Democratic versus Democratic, Eric. The same as LA. So they want to kill Cuomo off. So this Democratic socialist Marxist, whose family is from India and Afghanistan or something, two abstract countries, could become the mayor of New York and turn it into the largest Marxist city in America.
Yeah, be saying Chicago, hold my beer.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm rooting for the murderer. The point of the matter is I'm rooting for Andrew Cuomo because I think it's obviously the lesser of two evils. But I think he wants to prove himself that he could turn the city around and leave some sort of a legacy for himself. And I think he would do that if he was mayor of New York.
Well, and it's not like you have such great choices. And
no, you have no great choices.
It's sort of like California. It's like if you could get a Susan Collins type to be governor of California, that's a huge win.
Yeah.
Being realistic. But yeah, it is what it is. And those who are griping about E-Verify, if not that, whatever, the point is go after employers and force them to prove that these are actually.
Yeah, look, once you cut off the money and the jobs, it's one thing, but you've got to physically get them out of here also because they'll register to vote as Democrats, and the entire purpose of their being here will have been accomplished. Keep in mind why they're here, Eric. For the Democratic Party to flood these states, to tip them congressionally. Elon Musk put up today that if you subtract the illegal aliens, that's 10 House seats that currently exist. I mean, he extrapolated out the math with some formula showing that they literally, it gets them 10 current House seats right now. And this is before they've assimilated into voting and whatever other methods they can use to get into the ballot box. You give them more years, there's going to be more voting and it's going to be even worse. That was the reason they came in. The economic part is not really the Democrats' motivation here. It's, as you're well aware, it's about voting.
Yeah, what's weird
and the census, Eric.
The census is huge.
Yeah,
but I was going to say one weird thing is that Texas actually is benefiting slightly off of it being a red state. So that's like one red state that is, benefiting with House seats, but overall it's still, even that's a problem because they're probably around Houston, a lot of the liberal areas of Texas. So,
they're building entire Muslim cities there outside of Plano, with Sharia law in schools and mosques and everything else. I mean, this thing is like some futuristic HBO dystopian Muslim documentary waiting to happen. By the way, did you see this governor up in Washington State? Washington State is gone completely Marxist now. It's completely gone. Portland and Oregon, they seem to be battling to the death, but Washington State quietly has become the most far left state, maybe equal to Hawaii.
Ask Barnes.
What's that?
Ask Barnes.
Yeah, no. He actually pointed it out, the Seattle court system, but the governor, a guy named Bob Ferguson, signed a bill yesterday giving any black people $120,000 in the form of a forgivable loan. No whites or Asians need apply to use to purchase a home. $120,000 in cash. And this is the new law of the state of Washington for any blacks who want to purchase a home. And this is
that should be struck down quicker than hell.
She replied to that, Harmy Dillon, in a tweet saying, what? Comically saying, we'll see about this. Okay.
Right.
That being said, in the meantime, blacks that I know here in California are packing their bags to head to Washington State to get those homes with the $120,000 down payment. This is a state that didn't have slavery, didn't have anything, has decided to give reparations and basically doesn't have enough people to give them to up there. And this is taxpayers' money, of course.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that cannot be constitutional just by the fact that singling out a race. It's like, well, what about every other minority? What about, and it's so many problems.
Good luck getting the money back once you give it out. They decided to give it out immediately.
Well, that's why it's a race, because the courts are going to have to be ruling on that immediately. But they'll take their time because they're probably in league. They'll be like, it's on the docket for 2 years. When we're bankrupt, what are you going to do? That is horrible. Well, back to Musk a little bit. Things are bad right now for Elon. It looks like he will be leaving DOGE and possibly even sooner than expected. He was going to be leaving DOGE in May anyway, because the 120-day thing.
I didn't agree with that when it was first announced. I said it was going to be sooner rather than later because of his own economics.
Right. Well, he's having a really rough time, man. I mean, the guy's given up a lot, and he has even recently been quoted, "If the country goes down, he does too."
That's a good point.
And good for him. But I mean, apparently there's some issues here. Do you know any more about this supposed fight with him and Scott Bessent?
I don't know. There's so much news. I haven't had a chance to cover these interstitial fights among cabinet members. So I don't know what happened to the fight with Peter Navarro.
Yeah, well, apparently he and Bessent were just going at it with each other, screaming and everything else.
Well, Trump likes this. I mean, he foments this. He brags about this as a style. So who am I to say this is right or wrong?
Yeah,
I mean, the media tries to make hay out of it, but I mean, what's more important to me is him inviting Jeffrey Goldberg and 2 writers to come from the Atlantic and sit with him for hours tomorrow, thinking that they're going to write a favorable article for him.
I don't know. He always.
You want to explain this to me? Because maybe I'm not looking at this the right way.
Spicer's take is that he thinks he can flip them in person.
Oh, for the love of God.
And of course he can't. And Spicer said, but Spicer admitted, he said, the one time I really got my ass chewed by Trump was after the election when they wanted him to go to the New York Times. And I was like, no, you're president. 1, you shouldn't deal with them because they hate you. 2, if you really want to, they should come to you. You won. They should send people to you. And Trump yelled at him, I'll do whatever I want to, blah, 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 blah. And I guess,
some ego thing. I said this to you before about the New York Times. This is his hometown paper.
Yep.
He can't accept that they hate his fucking guts. And he believes that he can flip them and he could flip Jeffrey Goldberg. This is such dreaming thinking on his part. And there's so many deserved papers like the Epic Times and Newsmax who have earned a sit down with this guy other than the Atlantic. I mean, he's rewarding the enemy, and not just rewarding them, he's giving them more ammunition. They will then write whatever they want, and he will dispute it, and their readers will just relish the fact that Jeffrey Goldberg and 2 writers went in there for a number of hours. It wastes the president's time, which apparently he doesn't put any value on. B, there's plenty of other conservative outlets that are much more worthy of this. And C, he's giving, to quote Nixon, giving them a sword and allowing them to stick it in. It just boggles the mind, Eric.
Well, and the problem is that I would think he would have to understand that he's going to be like Reagan, in the sense that Reagan was loved by conservatives and the Reagan Democrats, but the press hated his guts. They always hated Reagan's guts. Now, 20 years after he's out of office, they write decent things about him. That's just going to be like Trump. Trump's going to need revisionist history 20, 30 years down the road for things to soften for him. He can't do it right now.
But I mean, there's so many important things going on right now. Does he have the time? And I said this about going to Europe to the Pope's funeral, where people are now taking selfies with this dead Pope, by the way. I don't know if you've seen this. They're posing for selfies with the Pope's body because they've got an open casket and an open basilica. People are coming in from all over the world. Does Trump really have the time to fly to Rome to do something like this? This is again, this is ego. This is the stuff that the Kennedys would send LBJ to do just to get him out of D.C. This is something J.D. Vance was just there. Why can't J.D. Vance represent the president at the funeral? First of all, he's nearly 80 years old. The travel has wear and tear on you physically as a human being. He's got to pick his battles and visits and presentations. And I blame again this fucking piece of shit, Susie Wiles. She has to be the chief of staff to him and say, you can't go to Rome. You can't go with the Atlantic into the White House for 4 hours. It's just about time, and it's also about management of the office, Eric. No?
I think that the Pope one, I'm going to stand up for him a little bit. I think I'll counter a little.
For the Pope or the
for Trump on it, because I think he's meeting other people. And I think he's hoping, I think he's hoping to work out that peace deal with Russia. So if he can go there, and a side result is he can finally get movement.
I know
on
people
Ukraine.
think that happens in movies and stuff, but in real life, you can get Putin on a screen in your office and not have to fly to Rome to meet Putin. I know
not
people.
Only Putin, it's also EU people.
Right. But whoever you want to meet, he doesn't have the luxury of a 45-year-old or 55-year-old president anymore to do this. It's a ticking clock. His administration has literally 18 months before it implodes, based on the midterm schedule. You got to pick your battles better, is where I'm going with this whole thing.
Right. Well, again, I may give it to him in the sense that if he can use that to work out some trade deals, or at least get Europe to cancel their meeting with China and some other things that are moving around right now, it would very well be worth it. So I don't know.
We'll see.
But that one, it's a mixed thing. Now I saw this story and I heard about it. Did you see this? That there's $66 million.
What is this? What
approved?
Is this?
Okay, it's out of England, so that could be pounds. But essentially,
they don't have any sun anyway there.
Right. The idiots are saying, well, we can spray a mist in the stratosphere to help block the sun. What which is that? There was that volcano that went off that destroyed Italy.
Oh, the ashes and stuff, Vesuvius.
Right, and it screwed up, like the whole climate forever. So what geniuses are there? They're saying, oh, well, we can affect some cooling by blocking the sun. And I'm just,
I don't know. There's some harebrained $66 million scheme. You want to put up a giant umbrella over London. How about that? You could make it out of a canopy and raise it and lower it like a stadium roof. You want to block the sun? Put up a canopy. What else you got over there? Oh, there's a British story of the guy saying shit who was arrested yesterday by the British London police. I don't know if you saw that one. The guy said SHIT. And he was arrested. Another guy.
Everybody's arrested. I can't keep up.
I can't even keep up with it. How many people they keep arresting over there over language and censorship issues?
It's bad, and I keep.
And they always film it. They always film it. The wife is always filming her husband getting arrested, or the husband's filming the wife getting arrested. So I tip my hat to the videographers of London or outside of London where these events are happening right now. This is the most repressive government in the West right now. Nothing even comes close in the UK. I don't know what these people are supposed to do. They need help. They need some sort of economic embargo against them to drive Starmer and his fascist crew to their knees. And this has nothing to do with Tony Robinson. This has nothing to do with all these different other spin-off. It does indirectly, but what they're doing to their own people, jailing them over these petty things.
We need to offer them asylum.
Yeah.
All these people. No, we need to offer them asylum and embarrass them. Like
I
all
agree.
These people, that guy who got arrested.
Yeah.
Trump should send word out, or, have them, the immigration person say, come on over. We'll take you. Come on. Come over here. You obviously live in an oppressive regime. We can't have that be done to people, and give them asylum, empty them out. I think that would be a perfect move.
Talking about repressive regimes, I don't know if you saw these Jewish kids coming out of this lecture hall at Yale the other night and being pelted with bottles and fluids by the Hamas crowd on the grounds at Yale, with the security guards, of course, just standing there looking at the Hamas protesters. There's some pretty good video of those events. Apparently, Yale has not gotten the message that they're willing to turn off the federal government's stipend to this university. I thought I was living in 1933 watching this video the other night. I mean, this is just crazy, Eric. They're not skipping a beat over there.
I want to know how much money is given to Yale from Qatar. How much money is given from some of these other countries?
Well, you got to block that money. You got to block that money.
The stipend is not the.
No, it's both. It's both. It's a two-edged sword. You got to cut off federal money to them, and you got to block money from foreign countries into these universities. Both. You got to do both.
Now, unfortunately, Trump caved on the the turning down the student registrations.
Yeah.
Literally today.
And now Candace Owens is backing Harvard.
Oh, I wonder why.
She's turned against Trump. And she's saying
for free speech because
she's for free speech. And she's also for death to the Jews, one of her side hobbies. Mm-hmm. And so she's pro-Hamas. Dude, it's just so unbelievably bizarre. There was a guy on with Joe Rogan yesterday. I don't know if you saw this guy.
You're talking about Tim Kennedy clip?
Tim Kennedy. Yeah. I mean, I don't know who he is, but he was
Tim Kennedy is an interesting character. He is
another comic or?
No. He's an MMA fighter.
Okay.
And a soldier. And he actually was in the army and fighting professional level MMA at the same time. Like he stayed in the army.
Wow.
And then like in 2016 or whatever, thereabouts, he volunteered and got deployed back to the Middle East again as a soldier. So this guy's, a top level MMA fighter, but he also is
he's obviously got Joe's ear, there's a little clip. Maybe you could run.
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now.
He must be a friend of Joe's from.
Oh yeah, he is.
Right. Okay. Right.
MMA.
Yeah.
In UFC or whatever. I saw this clip and I actually shared it with.
By the way, Murray sat down with Bill Maher on Friday's show at the opening of it, and the two of them kind of bonded.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I don't.
They were very close. Apart. Yeah, I know.
But of course, right now, Jordan Peterson is out there kind of standing up. But boy, is it brutal. Everything's being torn apart. So let me see. Here's
let's see what this is here.
I'm gonna have to break it up in pieces.
Okay, well, do your voodoo that you do so well.
All right.
You do what?
Yeah, it jumped off the stage. There we
go.
I've seen many videos of atrocities being committed by both sides, which is just a horrible consequence of war and conflict.
What do you think? I'm Israel. You're the Palestinians in Gaza. If every one of the people in Gaza laid down the arms and stopped attacking, what would Israel, do to you?
Joe's stumped.
It's a good question.
Yeah, Joe's stumped.
Nothing. They've tried it 5 different times. They literally stop attacking. Israel has never, not one time in history, initiated any conflict. Every single one of those things that you're pointing to is a retaliatory attack by a terrorist organization. But if that was switched, where Israel, you Hamas in Gaza, I take all of my arms and all of my protection and I laid them down, what would Hamas do? They would kill every single one of us.
Thank you. I mean, that's as rational an answer and as succinct an answer as you could possibly give to this situation in the Middle East.
Yeah, and I love the people in the chat saying that's just not true. Yeah,
oh, really?
I think so. Why don't we ask Lebanon? Why don't we ask Syria?
It's simply not true.
There is a little bit of a pattern. Let's look at the Jewish populations of the different Arabic countries throughout the past 100 years. What happened?
The simple truth is, if the Israelis did not have an A-bomb, they would have been overrun 20 years ago. And the fact that even with the A-bomb, every single situation is them retaliating to terrorist attacks from wherever it comes from, as Eric is pointing out, other areas. And if the PLO laid down, and PLO and Hamas laid down their arms today, there would be peace in the Middle East. If Israel laid down their arms today, they would be overrun and annihilated, and blood would run to the sea. Those are actual facts. You could talk to Barnes more about it and some other rational people, but those are the facts. You could say no all you want, but most rational people would agree with that. The question is, what do you do about it?
Yeah,
you have to get rid of Hamas. That's really what the answer is. You got to get rid of the terrorist organization running that little region.
Yep. And it's some of the high level frustrating things. Like I used to get annoyed with the Michael Moores of the world, talking about Cuba Oh, the wonderful garden state of Cuba. It's so great. Their healthcare is top notch, best in the world. They're so fantastic. And I'm going, well, why is it I was having to care for thousands of Cubans who watched their relatives die trying to float on tires and whatever floating mechanism they could to get to Florida? If it's such a beautiful garden spot, or let's say, okay, the East Berlin was just a wonderful place in East Germany. Oh. And if that was so great, then why were the rifles pointed at those people? It's pretty simple.
You know, you sent me that thing from Javier Milei that was really good, talking about the left libtards, Eric, that rant he went on Argentinian news. I don't know if you still have that, but this guy this is in his own country talking to his own CNN about crushing the left within his country. Holy cow, is this guy aggressive? I had no idea. I just thought he was one of these, jolly conservative leaders.
Oh, no.
This guy Milei is super aggressive. And this may be the only way to deal with them is what I call the Milei method.
That's why the chainsaw. Remember, he brought Elon Musk the chainsaw.
Yeah.
And Fureta or whatever the word is. I always forget where he's like, this department. No, he is super aggressive.
Super aggressive.
He should be a man after your heart. And
I run this for a second. Run a couple of seconds of this. This is fascinating.
Al zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
¿Me podés definir zurdo de mierda? Que no
todos los que, digamos, los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea. A ver,
¿por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
Porque son una mierda. O sea, pero es que si pensás distinto te van a aniquilar. Ese es el punto. Es decir, vos al zurdo no le podés dar un milímetro.
Bravo.
Porque le das un milímetro y lo toma para destrozarte.
Bravo.
Es decir, vos no podés negociar con el zurdo. No se negocia. No se negocia con esa mierda, no se negocia porque te van a llevar puesto. Si tienen un golpeador que caga trompadas a la mujer, digamos, si es de ellos, ¿entendés? Se pone el pañuelito verde y grita todo el tiempo contra el neoliberalismo, lo ocultan. ¿Me entendés? O sea, si de repente hay alguien que acosó a una periodista que acosa a otra periodista, lo ocultan. Es decir, a todos los de ellos lo ocultan. Todas esas aberraciones la ocultan. Ahora, si vos estás del otro lado, a vos te van a estropear, te van a matar, te van a dar con lo que sea. No les importa arruinarte la vida. ¿Por qué? Porque no pensás como ellos. Y ¿sabes qué es lo bueno de todo esto? Hay algo bueno en todo esto. Porque como el error es humano, como todos nos podemos equivocar, ¿sabes qué nos obligan? Nos obligan a ser mejores. Y como estamos siendo tan mejores que ellos, como los estamos aplastando en la batalla cultural, los estamos pasando de arriba, porque no solo le ganamos en lo productivo, somos superiores moralmente, somos superiores estéticamente, somos mejores en todo. Y les duele, les duele. Entonces, como no pueden pelear con las herramientas legítimas, se apalancan en el aparato represivo del Estado, poniendo torres de guita para hacernos mierda. Y aún así no pueden, tuvieron que bajar la nota. ¿Me entendés? Que están perdiendo, están desesperados, están perdiendo la batalla cultural. Los zurdos de mierda, por primera vez se ven acorralados, los zurdos de mierda.
Welcome to the Argentinian Film Festival. This week's entry is a movie about a leader and a knockout blonde who hates his guts. I don't think he's sleeping with her after this show. I'll put it that way.
No, probably not. But that was the first person that visited Trump after the election.
Yeah, no, dude. And this guy should be a model for every conservative, anti-Marxist leader around the world. Orban apparently knows and likes this guy. Now, also in Romania, I don't know if you're following the story in Romania, some judge overturned the elimination of Georgescu from the presidency runoff. And said that he can run as the president of Romania. Well, that lasted about 24 hours of Mike Benz celebrating it. Today, the other judges are now going after this judge who ruled that Georgescu could run for the presidency. So the situation in Romania almost got restored to normalcy, but the right-wing, when I say right-wing, I mean fascist judges of Romania turned on the one loose cannon who said the truth through honest legal analysis, and he will be jailed himself.
Yeah, or he better be like looking under his car before.
Yeah.
He might have a Youngstown tune-up issue. So what a deep mess. But all right, well, let's go back to your home. You had a homeless guy arrested in downtown Los Angeles.
They got the guy. Oh, that's
with
great.
The chainsaw.
Yeah, this is a good one. Everybody loves this story because it pits two worlds against each other, and it's the same world. They all love the homeless, but they love the trees more than the homeless. This guy on a dirt bike or actual bicycle, it's actually a bicycle, has been going around cutting down trees on government, in front of government buildings, not private property. And they don't know whether to embrace him or kill him because they love trees so much more, and they love the homeless so much. You don't know who to root for if you're from LA at this point.
His name is Samuel Groft.
Oh, interesting. 45. Okay. He apparently couldn't afford the gasoline for the dirt bike and has switched to a regular bike so he could use the gasoline for his chainsaw.
Exactly. I mean, no, he's environmentally cautious. While he's chopping down the trees, he doesn't want to expend any extra fossil fuels.
1/3 of all fires in Los Angeles County have been started by the homeless. 1/3 of all the fires. The damage that they have done to this society, and the fact that society refuses to deal with them, thereby compounding the damage. The city is about $1 billion in the red. She just overspent the money by $1 billion. And now she went to, she being Karen Bass, the Marxist mayor, went up to Sacramento to ask Newsom for $2 billion to cover her losses. And Newsom said, I can't. I'm $58 billion in the red as a state because I gave Medi-Cal to every illegal alien in the state. So they're $58 billion in the red. The city's about $1.5 billion in the red. And it's all about the homeless. And it's not about the money going to the homeless. It's the creation of NGOs and salaried relatives of their friends to run these NGOs with the money that they've allocated, quote unquote, for the homeless. The homeless have started so many fires. They had cut back the fire department, and now she's laying off 400 policemen and adding a couple of hundred firemen. She knows not to lay off the firemen. She's decided to fire 1,600 city employees. You would have thought that they were cannibals running around eating people in LA, the outrage of firing 1,600 city workers here, Eric.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
a wonderful thing about math, Eric. Math and economics levels the playing field. If you can't go to Joe Biden to bail your city out, like Gerald Ford said to Abraham Beam in 1976, Ford to city drop dead was the cover of the Daily News.
I remember that.
Right. That's the equivalent of what's happened to LA and California because Trump is not giving them any money. They are now having to cut their precious communist services, and it kills them, Eric.
Good.
Oh, speaking of Hollywood, Jon Voight, as I predicted, Jon Voight was the first out of the gate of the troika that Trump has appointed to restore Hollywood. And he's come up with his partner a series of tax abatements and refunds and benefits for films to be shot in the United States as opposed to going out of the country. So Jon Voight is the first one. Remember, Trump delegated Mel Gibson, Jon Voight, and somebody else. Stallone, to help him save Hollywood from itself. And Jon Voight, to his credit, is probably the most political of the three.
Oh, yeah.
Came up with a tax plan to help get rid of China and keep the films here for American workers. So that was a positive story yesterday.
Yeah, I know. Jon Voight is like James Woods level of hardcore.
I think any of them could run for governor. I think Jon Voight could run. I think James Woods, who is a great orator, should run for governor of California. I would accept James Woods. John Voight could run. Stallone could run. Mel Gibson could run. I mean, somebody's got to step up here, bro. Somebody's got to step up.
And James Woods not only, James Woods not only is a great orator, he is legitimately certified genius. I think his IQ is too. Certified MAGA. No, I know, but his IQ is like 185 or some just stratospheric number.
You're telling me you wouldn't pay to see James Woods debate Kamala Harris?
Oh, it'd just be brutal.
How good entertainment would that be?
Well, it would never happen.
On a lower level, Stefanik versus AOC. But here in the governorship here, unless this happens, say hello to Governor Harris. I keep trying to tell people she's going to walk in.
I think even if you had a James Woods, I don't think she'd show up at the debate unless you mandate it. Is it California law they have to debate?
I think so. I think
okay.
Yeah.
Then if they do, cool. But I could see her avoiding that at all costs.
Well, she's going to avoid the media lock, stock, and two smoking barrels, and she's going to sign up for the race the day before the deadline. I guarantee you that. And then she's going to clear out the field because people are just going to say no mas, to quote Roberto Duran. And she's going to walk into the governor's mansion where she's going to get her nails done and hair done. And if you think Newsom ran it into the ground, wait till this dingbat gets a hold of the fourth largest economy in the world. I mean, she's going to have a field day here.
Oh yeah. It's going to be rough.
That could make me leave.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. We have the final thing.
I think that may be the final, because it would be 4 years of unbelievable chaos. You know what I mean? It would be just an incredible knife to the back of the people of California,
Wow. All right. Well, one thing that you did send me earlier.
What?
We've got the manifesto. You want to talk about
that? Dude,
yeah.
I mean, okay. So this manifesto, which was the Nashville trans shooter, and I didn't follow it as closely as other people did because it was being withheld by the Nashville police for reasons that nobody could explain. I think a lot of it has to do with the hospital in Nashville that does all the trans surgeries. What's the name of that hospital there for people in the chat? It's one of the more famous hospitals in America, and it happens to be in Nashville, Tennessee, where what's his name went in and as part of his film exposed them in his Daily Wire guy when he was making that movie. Vanderbilt. I believe that this trans manifesto was being withheld by the Nashville police because of pressure from Vanderbilt University Hospital. It makes no sense that the Nashville police would have any dog in this hunt. So it came out through Tom Fitton, through Judicial Watch, finally, 2 days ago. And holy crap, is it insane. This is a girl who became a boy and then shot up everyone and did everything else. I mean, some of these pages in here, and I was just randomly going through it this morning. I was just cherry picking some pages for Eric to take a look at. Before, this is her list of things to do before the event.
Yeah, I can't even show it because I'll get pinged.
I mean, it's just, we'll put it on locals. I mean, you got to read this thing. I mean, this is part of the manifesto. But the list of films, I just thought this was the most fascinating thing to me. Watch cartoon DVD sets. This is all before the event. This is her to-do list. Samurai, Avatar, The Last Airbender, Flintstones season episode 2, Rugrats season 1 episode 2, Powerpuff Girls, Rocco's Modern Life, Robot Chicken episode 2 season 2, SpongeBob SquarePants season episode 3. It's just insane. Watch all studio films, or most. Castle in the Sky, Only Yesterday, Porco Rosilli, Ocean Waves. These are like foreign films she has to watch before the end comes. And it says the week before, which is March 20th or the 26th, go to McKay's, play a Tony Hawk video game, look at all my toys and animals, watch 2 films from Gus Van Sant that I've not seen, To Die For, 1996, and Paranoid Park, 2007, go to the range, which is a bullseye target here, watch my favorite movies over the past weeks, Elephant, 2003, My Friend Dahmer, 2018, 7 Pounds, Whiplash, which is a great film, 2018, Dead Poets Society, 1997. This list goes on and on and on of things to do.
If only she just sat there and watched all the movies.
Again, this
stayed home. That would
should
be
have
nice.
taken a long time. I don't know how she was able to get through this.
I don't think she did, because not all of them are crossed out. I feel like the crossing out might be what she actually watched.
Well, this is one little thing that I read that was kind of interesting. It's this little segment here on the right, which was actually written by her. Male brain equals my autism. I was actually identified as a male today, and it felt right, but embarrassed of my female body. I should not be in this body. The guy who runs the comic shop is a cool guy, and he has friendly customer service skills. He really knows his stuff and treats all the guys fairly. I like being called bud, bro, and man. It just is directed 100% accurate to who I am as a guy inside. If only all other men and boys could seem that way, that my body doesn't make me female, 100% more like 5 to none. Sometimes people identify me right away as a he, since I am smaller and look younger than others my age. It helps when I am called a lady or ma'am. Damn it, it makes me not want to exist. The body in me exists only to me. I just damn heard of being called, or I just can't stand being heard or called, identified by my gender. I am not. At all at last, I don't have big boobs or a butt, but yet I hate having boobs at all. Anyway, it goes on and on. You could see the angst and anguish of these people. And this is after the successful, quote unquote, surgery by Vanderbilt and her successful acclimation into society. This is a time bomb waiting to happen for a lot of these kids who, once they do all this work, realize, like with addiction, changing the location of your state that you live in does not end your drug and alcohol abuse. It's very similar. Transitioning to another quote unquote gender through some sort of cosmetic surgery and taking drugs does not change your internal problems. And I think a lot of them are finding this out, Eric.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Well, finding out, it's been known for years that the self-termination rate is super high, and
now the violence, now the external violence rate is super high.
Well, and there's some, I don't know, what I worry about is like she had mentioned autism. That's starting to come up more and more. I think Jordan Peterson's talked about autism, especially amongst girls and trans, and I don't know if they're being influenced easier or what, but it's
I don't know. But Andy No has covered this area now with this trans killer cult. I mean, you can't even make this up, Eric. You know about this. I mean, Andy No has been covering this cult for a number of months now, and they're just a cult that randomly kills people. One of the sickest things ever created in movie history, and it's not a movie.
Yeah. It's just.
By the way, did you see that Greg Kelly clip I sent you where I never saw this before in Butler. Did you see the footage that Greg Kelly came up with about the Trump shooting?
No,
Greg Kelly got some footage of Butler that I'd never seen before. And it's from the side of the stage when Trump is being led down to that SUV. There's a guy there in full camo that Kelly points out that is absolutely hair-raising what this guy is doing over there.
Okay, yeah, I think I hit that. There's a community note on it. The armored soldier is covering the driver's side of the SUV. So it might be an angle problem, because that's something that I did look.
It looked like he's pointing right at the driver.
Right. Well, I want to get different angles, because you know how, like, if you get two people and they look like they're literally standing next to each other just because the angle of the camera. I don't know. Oh, but yeah, I can see where the rifle is.
Do we have that, do you have that video or no?
I've got.
I mean, it's pretty short. I mean, it's just him with his own computer, I think, Greg Kelly.
Right, which makes it very difficult because it's
okay.
It's even smaller to see on the screen, but
all right. I thought he did good work here.
After he got shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. I've seen this video 1,000 times, but I never noticed what I'm about to show you. So here he is. He's one more fist bump before he gets in the vehicle. Now, there's this individual over here in uniform. I don't know if he's Secret Service, State Police. He's got a weapon with him, a rifle. Watch what happens. On the radio there.
You're saying that's not at the driver?
Now, why would he do that? One more time.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing on the other side there.
Trump is in the car.
I mean, who is he pointing at, Eric?
It doesn't make any sense. So
he could be pointing just by the driver. Again, I would love to see it.
The reason it's important is because Kelly has been saying for months and months and months, why didn't that SUV pull out? And if you have a guy with an automatic rifle pointing at you as a driver, that may explain why that car did not pull out. That's my takeaway from this. What's your takeaway?
My takeaway is that I don't want to jump to conclusions, because he potentially could be pointing immediately. So you have the driver sitting here, and his rifle could be pointing right here.
Right,
literally covering.
There is that canvas there. There is no other side there. That canvas is literally up against the side of the car. That white canvas that allowed them to drive in there. That's how tight that is there.
It's tight.
If you look,
but there's still a path for somebody to come up on the door or whatever.
All right.
I'm just.
Well, again, the question is, why couldn't the SUV leave?
Well, I don't know why that shows. Well, it could be that the team lead, who couldn't holster her gun, couldn't make up her mind to go.
Well, I think she was in the back at that point, but there was some debate as to why this SUV was still sitting there, physically sitting there, and I think that maybe appears to me, at least, to be the answer.
Well, and the chat, apparently there's a lot of other. I don't know. The chat is saying that there's a lot of other angles that are showing him. It was definitely not pointed at the driver. I don't know.
I don't know about the chat. I'm just talking to you. What do you think?
I think that he was probably pointing beyond the driver off to the side, covering for it. And there was a narrow pathway. You mentioned the cloth.
Yeah.
But that's still, there's a lane there that you're going to be covering that particular spot. So.
Well, did you see the story of Camping World in North Carolina? How they had to close
they have a flag that's too big.
Is this a story? I mean, what is going on in North Carolina? If you're from Greenville, North Carolina, please explain to me why you can't have a gigantic flag over Camping World. Like, probably
the same idiots that were suing Mayor Longo. Remember when I went up to Butler?
Yeah.
And we went to Chimney Rock with Mayor Longo, and the flag that I play, like whenever we close out, is the largest flag in the U.S., or at least the highest, flag here.
Right.
Well, there are citizens, like a guy who was literally on the
roof,
so city council, or
city
trying
council.
to be or running for city council. But anyway, he was suing to get the flag taken down. And it's
but
kind of funny.
Why are they obsessed about the size of these flags? Is it going to hit an airplane or something? What is their rationale for it?
They find it offensive.
What's that?
They find it offensive.
No, they don't say that though. Right? They don't say that. I understand the truth, like you do. But what is their cover story? In other words, the flag is 6 inches too big, or I don't understand the cover story.
Well, the guy at Chimney Rock claimed that it kept him up at night because the noise that it made flapping.
Okay, that's a weird one. See, that exposes your insanity. I like that.
Longo loved it. He's like, he actually recorded that and used it as part of his campaign.
Well,
like,
the camping world is now closed because of this incident. So he had to fold up that camping world because they drove him out of business over the flag issue. So again, we seem to be in a stranglehold by these politicians and these local city councils that are doing things that are insane.
Yeah. Okay. Dan Sundin's claiming the flags are nearly 15 times bigger than the allowable flag in a non-residential property in the city. The city also says the pole cannot exceed, and he said zoning. So I don't know. I'd have to. But if it's been there for literally decades,
right?
It's interesting,
right? I mean, I've seen so many giant flags in America before. In car dealerships and shit, right? I mean, that's basically.
Well, car dealerships always have the biggest flags. That's something I've observed. I mean, it's like you cannot get any. Now, well, think about it. If a car dealership has the giant flags, then the RV dealership would have to have an even bigger one, just going by the stature of the vehicle.
And Camping World would have to trump them both
because of RVs. Yeah. Camping. It's proportional.
It's proportional. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Again, their obvious hatred for the flag comes out, but I'm always curious as to what are the health hazards of the big flag. I've never really understood the logic other than, zoning. And they can just go zoning. Okay. Because we created this ordinance after the fact.
It depended on where it was. Like if, for example, it was the building next to a hospital and it would cause a problem with the flight path for a helicopter.
Okay, that's what I was jokingly
that would be illegitimate.
I jokingly said it would hit a plane.
Right.
But other than that, that's how high are these poles? They're up in airspace.
Oh, it depends on where or what. Like
okay,
I said,
that's a stretch. But all right, I'll have to go with that. Meanwhile, that Camping World is out of business in North Carolina, unfortunately for Greenville.
It is unfortunate, and it could also be.
I could spend a day in Camping World. You know that? I could live in there.
They might have been having financial issues too, Mark, and they might have been like,
I don't know.
Oh, you know what? This flag, well, we just got to take it down.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I personally love Camping World.
Somebody said that they only closed one location to consolidate to another. Okay.
Right. Yeah. He's got a couple others, but
I have a feeling I have a feeling he's taken advantage of the controversy to do that.
Why does he need to take advantage of it? He could just close anything he wants. He doesn't need a storyline.
Yeah, but you see, he can be a hero, and then everybody goes shopping at the Camping World to protest the bullshit flag store.
Man, you got some line of thinking there. You think that's what the guy thought?
I think that you don't usually shut down a business over a flag.
Okay,
you go to court. You go to court over it. You do whatever.
He has done the other things already.
Okay, so you're going to just say, okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to.
I don't know. I don't know. Somebody in Greenville will have to explain it to us. I don't know the details.
I'm with Robert Nisbet. I have a feeling it's a false flag.
Oh, I get it, Nisbet. That's funny. Now, we mentioned this before we started about Pete Hegseth firing everyone he knows. Now, what do you make of this?
I don't know. It's kind of weird because they're his crew. It's not like it's not like they were already there, but they were his homies that he brought in with him.
Right.
And the rumor is that when Elon went in there with DOGE, they were leaking on Elon, and Elon found out, or somehow conveyed it over, and Hegseth frog marched him out because of the leaks.
Wow.
Which Hegseth's under fire continuously now.
Oh yeah.
Don't know how much of it is legitimate or not legitimate. It is. Because there's so much flack and noise coming at him, and he's made some bullshit statements. Like I agree with Halpern saying that he was given a non-answer when they said, "Well, you have signal on the." We do not have signal on the government computer. Not mentioning that he has a personal
that
computer
other
in there.
mutt who was Secretary of Defense, that big chocolate guy with the two masks on, disappeared for surgery for weeks on end. They never said it. Austin Barnes or Austin Miller, whatever the guy's name was, That mutt disappeared for weeks. They never.
Lloyd Austin, I think.
Lloyd Austin, right? Yeah, that guy. Nobody gave a shit what this guy did. He was wearing 2 masks all the time, a shield and then a mask underneath his shield. I mean, come on, this guy was an embarrassment.
I don't disagree, but I'm saying that Hegseth's not helping himself when he, it just answer. Say, yeah, I have a personal computer too. Yeah, it's not going against the government policy. The IT approved it.
I don't even know.
I mean, there's a million things he could say.
Why does he have to keep talking to the press? What is the obsession with all these Fox people who are now running these departments about talking to the press? I mean, I can congratulate Bongino for not talking to the press. You know what I mean? The reverse.
Cash.
Yeah, there's no upside of talking to the press. There really isn't. I would like a press spokesperson for the DOJ to give us updates on the cases that are either ongoing or not ongoing. That's separate from Pam Blondie going on Fox every day to talk about the low-hanging fruit that she's picked up in Tallahassee. And the same thing with Hegseth. I don't think he should be talking to anybody. You got enough work to do over there. And Cash
and a lot of his work has been good. I mean, their recruitment numbers are fantastic. But there's an impetuousness there that I think he may get burned. I don't know.
Yeah.
If he keeps going into the buzzsaw.
Well, this arrest of these 2 judges is the best news we've had in months.
Fantastic.
I am so excited about the arrest of these judges. I can't even tell you. It's just the best news we've had. And I think it's the pressure from MAGA. They're feeling the fucking heat, Eric. I'm not alone. I mean, Bannon's been yelling about it. Other people have been yelling about it. To arrest somebody, anybody, to get this thing going. And all of a sudden, bada bing, bada boom, 2 judges get arrested. You got to keep the pressure on these people, because they'll fall asleep at the switch. The only thing that's going to make them motivated is to continue to hold their feet to the flames in media. They seem to respond to that. And the MAGA people have got to keep the pressure on. Bannon's doing his part and some other people are doing their part, but it's got to be from everybody.
I agree. And I think that they need to be terrified. They had to be terrified because these judges, I think Barnes calls them the modern priests.
Yeah.
They feel like they're so above the pale that they almost think they're God. In their courtroom, they think they're God, and so that had to be a shock.
Well, if you don't know anyone who's ever gone to jail from this job that you're part of, you don't know anyone who's ever been dethroned. You don't know anyone who's ever been indicted. You don't know anyone who's ever been incarcerated. Why wouldn't you think you were an untouchable, a Brahmin in the society?
Because exactly. You're the one who determines who goes to prison, who does this and that.
Not you going to prison. I mean, the only ones that really go to prison are people like a judge in the Dukes of Hazzard episode, you know what I mean? Or my cousin Vinny episode. Those are the judges you see go to prison. It's never these activist, political, leftist judges.
Right.
Those are the ones that need to be taken down. And if they win their case in court, great. It's hard for them to serve on the bench while they're fighting for their own life to stay out of prison.
Oh, somebody just said that she complained after being arrested that they took her teeth and she wants her dentures back.
That's funny.
That's funny. That's true, but that is funny.
That's funny.
Okay. By the way, Tom Fenton, Judicial Watch, they did great work. Mm-hmm. That's the manifesto.
Yeah.
Something else they turned up here is they found out that the New York authorities plan to euthanize Peanut the squirrel and Fred the raccoon before even seizing them.
Wow.
So that's just a lie that, they seized them and they weren't sure they could have problems. No, they planned on it from the beginning. I mean, it's disgusting. That was just, right before the election.
Wow.
I think it was the week of the election.
Dude, it's called Peanut's Revenge. I think Peanut's getting revenge over them.
I hope so. And I hate it so much though, because it's not like you can, revive them. All you can do.
What? They should have put them on cryogenic frozen in a cryogenic canister until this was resolved and frozen.
But perhaps.
which is, I think they did with the head of Ted Williams, the famous Boston.
Oh God, yes.
Am I crazy? Or am I imagining this?
No. That was a
Ted
huge
Williams'
battle.
head is frozen.
Right. Well, he wanted it frozen.
He wanted himself frozen.
And the family's battling against it, and that case went on for a while. I'd say like around 2000 or something, or
and he was looking for a body to play again for the Red Sox. In other words, the head would be put onto a younger body in theory, so that he could come back and play for the Red Sox. At least that was one of the theories floating around.
Well, there's an entire business in Arizona that's what they offer is the cryogenic. So
right. Well, your motivation,
and 100 years from now or whatever, when the technology gets there, they go, boop, hey, wake up, wake
your
up.
Your motivation is up to you. I mean, you're right. The company doesn't care what your motivation is. They just will do
that's the service.
Yeah, the service. But from what I understand, he was looking for a younger body so he can come back as a player.
It could be. I can imagine, but it wouldn't even have to be a player. It could
have been a DH. He didn't have to
been an Android.
He didn't have to play the field. He could have just been a DH for the Red Sox, for Christ's sakes.
I don't know. Weird. That was definitely a weird case.
Yeah.
But you know what isn't weird?
What?
Coffee.
Oh, everyone loves coffee. I mean, even the Brits
I
love
need coffee to keep up with the stories and the thumbnails. And I don't know if you like a thumbnail or you do like a thumbnail. We've got to get the stories, but we have the coffee for you.
It's a good looking coffee.
That's right. America's Untold Stories Supreme Breakfast Blend. Next week, we'll be announcing our official new flavor that people may want to check out as well.
Oh, right on.
But this coffee, we had this at the meetup in Las Vegas.
I had to mule it in.
Yep. Everybody loved it.
The guy kept asking me, he goes, you brought your own coffee? I go, look, it's a complicated story. That gangster who ran the place, he says, what do you mean you got your own coffee? I said, look, it's a sponsor for the show. Hunley mailed me the coffee. I just drove it here. He goes, what do you want me to do with it? I said, well, you're going to have coffee. No, but the guy couldn't believe he doesn't understand what I was saying. Like, who shows up at this thing with their own coffee?
We do. We're a special kind of audience. How fine is the grind? They have a drip grind or espresso grind. You can order either way you want. You can order it as whole bean, espresso grind, or drip grind, just like a normal grind. I do a drip grind myself, and I'm too lazy to grind it myself.
Is that true?
Yeah, it comes in.
You do have that thing, right? Isn't there an electric machine that grinds it? Like you put in
there is, but they do a better job, in my opinion. And it comes in literally. I'll look at it. There's drawn on it the brew date, and it's only like a few days prior.
Okay,
so it's very fresh.
All right. How do these people get it? How are they supposed to get it?
Well, you know what? There's a link in the description. You can go to americasuntoldstories.com/coffee. Or you point your phone right at the QR code that's covering half the screen.
That maze over there, that black and white maze.
That's right. It's a SQR code or a QR code.
It looks like the maze, like in the Children of the Corn.
Kind of is. They work really well though. You can point at it and then click, boom, and it will take you there.
Now, will there be this? Should we bring this to Dallas? This coffee with us or no?
Well, we'll have to talk to them, but we will be in Dallas.
With the coffee or without the coffee? I guess we don't have control over the food there. Oh, no, maybe we can. She's going to have that dinner Saturday night, the banquet dinner.
Well, the coffee maker lives in Texas.
So maybe he could show up with the coffee.
Perhaps.
I see what you're saying. Somebody in the comments was asking about the event. I don't know what else we can tell them. He was complaining that $149 with the discount, I guess, is too much money. There's nothing. I mean, it's not. We're not putting this on.
No, and
I mean, the guy was implying that we were putting it on. We have nothing to do with this. We're just guests who are presenting something there.
That's correct, and it's not only us. There are, Grodin's there. Other, JFK researchers are there. I mean, you're getting a lot for $149. It's actually a bargain. Or if you don't want, then just pay $75.99.
Yeah, pay $75. You can watch it.
Yeah, you don't even have to go there.
Yeah, but I think there's a discount. You're saying
There absolutely is a discount. We have 10%
cheap
off.
Bastards. These fat bastards can't even pay the full price.
Well, and you need to actually use the discount.
Right.
That helps us because.
Right. All right, use the discount, you fat bastards. Go ahead, use the discount.
The discount is Untold 10.
What is that? What's the secret code?
Untold 10 for 10% off.
Right.
And you just do that right when you're checking out. Let me put that up on the screen so you can see it right there.
Oh, I see. There it is. Yeah, 10% off. That helps.
It definitely helps.
Yeah.
It's 10%. That's for $15.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a great fan fest event. You go from seminar to seminar to seminar. There's swag, there's rooms of souvenirs, there's people selling stuff, there's people you can meet, there's presentations, video, verbal, dinner. You get this banquet dinner on Saturday night. I think we're going to be there right after the dinner. It's if you're into this. If you're not into it, then there's nothing you could say about it. But if you're into this stuff about JFK, specifically this year, with all the hazarai going on about JFK, I mean, this is a good year to go.
Absolutely,
especially from overseas. You get to see Dealey Plaza. You could meet these actual people you've read about.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's super helpful too. It's like
books. You could buy a lot of books there. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, all the books. But you literally can go to the event, and Dealey Plaza is free. Doesn't cost anything to go walk around, take pictures, see the place yourself. So, by the time you pay your travel and hotel and stuff, you don't have to spend a lot of extra money.
I think Greg Budell is coming. I did his show yesterday.
Oh, nice.
He's flying in to meet us. I think Alan is training in to meet us from Poughkeepsie.
And then Gonzalez,
I think that Alan is coming. Former New York City police intelligence officer is going to be there.
That's Alan.
Alan. Did I say Alan?
No, Alan is the state trooper. Al
Gonzalez. Is Al Gonzalez. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Alan is the state trooper. He's training in. So
he's training in, right? And Gonzalez will, I guess, walk or take his police motorcycle. I don't know what he does. He's actually performing. He's actually got he's in a play, an off-Broadway play. I don't even. It sounds insane, but he's touring. He's going to be up in Woodstock with this play that he's in. He's got a whole performance thing going on.
Wow. Either way, I encourage you to go. There is a link in the description of wherever you are watching. All the platforms. There's a link. You just go down the description. It's right there. There's, go right to that link. Remember the coupon code at checkout. It is a big deal. Not only does it save you money, but it gives us credit because we want them to know how many people.
Oh, right. That would help. Yeah. Now, what about subscribing to the channel? Is that still a thing?
Allegedly, we hit 125,000.
Bravo.
Oh.
We got 100 million according to the sources.
There's a lot of people who do wonder that. They're like, why? But we're fighting our tiny room. We're trying to, renovate our tiny room and see if we can.
I don't think we're going to get free until the Google people are goose stepped into jail by the FBI. We will not be free until they're incarcerated.
Probably not, sadly.
But you could still subscribe and as a protest vote.
That's true. And we do have people who are supporting us directly, like Daniel Friedrichs has been a member for 6 months. How does Mark feel about the Packers draft pick?
I haven't even looked at it. I've been too busy, but thanks for the I have not looked at the draft, so I don't. I usually don't look at the draft because I don't care about the draft. I don't, until you're a real player. It's kind of like guys in the MLB. They pick these guys, and it's another world. Unless you're getting a Herschel Walker or somebody who's a sure thing. I don't know who we got or if it's even happened yet.
Yeah, I agree. Diffuse 56 says YouTube needs a perp walk.
Yeah, that's my new T-shirt. YouTube needs a perp walk. That's my new bumper sticker. Thank you.
WO, don't let the Florida stuff fool you. We don't need Dems in office because the Florida legislature is voting Democrat anyway.
No.
We're like Texas now.
I got you, Debbie. That's weird. I hear you. Wow. Well, it's better than an all blue state.
Dick Dickerson gifted 20 America's Untold Stories memberships, followed by Diffuse, who gifted 10. Thank you guys very much, both of you. Carl Burkhalter with this question. Brownsville, Texas is celebrating Cinco de Mayo. It voted for Trump. Hispanic controlling a community are not as sensitive as when they are a minority.
Well, they're not a minority here. So I still don't think they're having Cinco de Mayo here. And Home Depot, you can literally drive into the Home Depot now without people banging on the hood of your car. Shocking what Tom Homan has done for the city of LA.
That's funny. Soul Doggy, every single time the media or the Democrats utter the word immigration, we need to say, F you, talk to me when I deport 12.5 million like Clinton.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's not even close. He's not even close. These are their voters. I mean, I don't know what Clinton was thinking, or Obama even, for that matter, deported millions. How did they do it?
Well, they never had any pushback. I mean, what was it? There was a chart breakdown. I probably should have kept it, but it was like how many deported, how many injunctions.
Yeah.
And, it was like
0,
Bush,
0,
0,
0,
0, Obama 0, all the way down.
Also, how many they deported during their administrations?
Yeah,
tens of millions, and he's up to 100,000 or something.
Obama actually was nicknamed deporter in chief for a minute.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, folks, don't forget those famous Trump cages are really the Obama cages.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true.
That's
what made AOC cry.
Yeah.
Remember, she couldn't take it, and a real exploration should be how she got her Betty Boop sexual molested voice. That's what I'd like to hear.
My favorite, one of my favorite memes is her outside in a 7-Eleven parking lot crying over the ice machine. Because all right, Spinner Pete, SpaceX, Neuralink, Tesla, the Boring Company, Grok, leftist, blue lipstick, and women with blanks. Choose your side.
It's a good toss-up, and she, Crockett, the Texas ghetto chick who was on the JFK committee, went on to Jimmy Kimmel and was talking about how stupid Elon Musk is, and that she is willing to take an IQ test to have an IQ off with Elon Musk. That would be funny. Just take the test live and have them separated so they can't get each other's answers. Musk would probably finish it in 5 minutes and turn it in, and she'd be writing notes on it saying slavery, 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 slavery. Or as Chris Rock said, Chris Rock famously said, the answer to every question in a Black Studies class when he was in college was Martin Luther King. He said you could get a B+ if you answer Martin Luther King to any and all questions in Black Studies. Oh, here's a little footage.
It really is. But let me tell you something. We really don't know how much damage they're causing. Like, when I tell you that the level of incompetence is almost like incomprehensible, it is so bad. And when you bring up the idiot known as Elon Musk, he is not only like very sinister and has no idea of what he's doing, and people are like, oh no, he absolutely knows because he's the richest man in the world. Like, yes, he knows how to hire smart people, but don't conflate that and believe that he is the genius, because he ain't. I mean, it says a lot when you literally are supposed to be the leader of the free world and you're worried about a rising sophomore in the house.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Or you wish she was on your side. He also called you low IQ. I'm sure you're aware of that. Would you be willing to take an IQ test publicly, head-to-head against the President of the United States?
Let's go, bitch. Let's go. Bring it on, ghetto broad.
She wants to take it against Trump, not Elon. So she's too much of a coward. Okay.
Oh, I see. She wants to go up against a 79-year-old man.
Right, because Trump called her low IQ.
Right.
I was going to say, even she can't be that stupid to go after. She just calls Elon an idiot, but it's like, yeah, let's go ahead, sit you down.
Good point.
Let's see how that goes.
Truth in advertising.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Dick Dickerson said that the Dems want O'Keefe's head after exposing Act Blue.
Yeah, he's not done with Act Blue. This thing, the Act Blue thing, is going to see the Justice Department looking into them because of how much money they may or may not have gotten from overseas through debit cards and all these other. It's not a question of the money. It's a question of where it came from.
Yeah. Oh, you need to doge it.
Yeah.
Go through there with a fine-tooth comb and look at, I mean, what are they up to? 60,000 people who never donated that? There's donations in their names.
That somebody like number? China did donate.
And Qatar.
And Qatar. Yep. And the United Emirates and others may have donated using 60 people's names at a time, or 60 donations by one person at a time, rather, for $50 a pop or 150 a pop times 60, because he went door to door, right, in that video, knocking on the door.
Oh no,
that was great guerrilla theater.
It really was. But what was so scary about it was the guy's like, "Well, I'm fine with that. I hate Trump." I'm like,
right, yeah.
I don't mind that,
I'd
fraudulently.
I'd blow his head off if I had a chance.
Yeah, that was right, remarkable. All right, Wayne Salter with $20. Thank you very much. And then with the $1.99. But a question: Dallas next month. What should I see? If you are going to Dallas next month, Dealey Plaza, obviously. Maybe check out the Ruth Payne house. I think they've got a tour. I think Oswald's room. I think that you might be able to go there. Jack Ruby's restaurant.
Oh yeah,
that's worth going to, right? What about that club that the Secret Service agents were in? Is that still there?
Oh, I don't know. The Cellar, and that's in Fort Worth, but
well,
might be there
near Dallas. Yeah. So I don't know. There's some places.
They've got some good steakhouses in Fort Worth. I'll give you that much.
Yeah, and they do have actual tours or tours there. So check into that. Paul Henry, today, the California State Bar forwarded my complaint against the ringleader of the federal litigation against some of the judges to the enforcement unit for prosecution.
Wow.
JFK stuff coming out too.
Wow. This is very exciting.
That's good news, man.
I mean, the Justice Department and the Civil Rights Unit can push them back on their heels here, Eric, by going after them for various things. Same in Washington State, obviously. She's going to push back on that reparations, $120,000 home loans.
Oh, he's got to. I mean, that's so blatantly.
She's got to where's one of these judges that freezes things in its tracks? Where is that judge?
Trump.
Where is that judge?
And where are they on the right? Not every damn judge is a leftist.
Yeah, I mean,
come on.
Between Trump and Trump, they've appointed hundreds and hundreds of judges in the past 2 terms.
And yeah, by the way, I get it. I get it that there's a vast majority of judges that are lean Democrat, but there are Trump appointees. What have you guys been doing? If there are some minority, why can't you?
They all seem to do judge shopping on the left. Why can't we shop for judges on the right? Is this something that we can't figure out, or?
Yeah, I don't know. It's horrible. Speaking of horrible, Santos got his sentence today.
Yeah, this is like this is like Rob Blagojevich. 7 years in prison for, I don't even know what the deal is here. What he did, he got kicked out of Congress. That was insane. And now 7 years in prison for this. Are you kidding me? I hope Trump pardons him immediately. This was one of the biggest mistakes made by the Republicans I've seen in years, by kicking this vote out and kicking the seat out, and of course having it replaced by a Democrat.
Was his sentence state though, or federal?
These are federal charges with this situation here. So I hope Trump can do something to do the
or
right
at least
thing.
Commute it.
Yeah, he can commute it.
Wow.
I mean, if he did it for Blagojevich, a Democrat, he could certainly do it for George Santos.
Okay, he faced 2.5 to 20.
Yeah.
And they gave him 7. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, this should have been an 18-month deal, in and out. Should have been 18 months. Everybody knows it.
Wow.
Yeah, 7 years is not 18 months. Again, they will not stop using incarceration as a weapon of lawfare. How many times do we have to keep seeing this against politicians? I mean, without any retribution. Now, going after these judges, like I said,
that's the first
this
step.
may be the first step. Absolutely, got to give it up. First step, there's got to be 15 more of them, spread them out around the country. You don't have to do every single one of them, and then go after the political targets that you've been meaning to go after. But this low-hanging fruit of the gang members, do not waste judicial energy for people who are going to be deported anyway. That's my beef with it. They're not going to stay here.
No, I agree. Well, one thing though that could be going on is our mod sent me something on X or whatever. Apparently, Kash Patel may be quietly doing some things, like 80% of the top level FBI people.
Oh yeah,
he's sacked. And if he's doing that kind of thing quietly and getting rid of, like corrupt people within the department, and then working on investigations, maybe I do need to be a little patient with them. Maybe we do need to say, okay, because if you have corrupt agents, they're screwing with the investigations and sandbagging. So clearing them out and then making sure the investigations, the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, is not necessarily a bad thing. And I will say that if in a few months all of a sudden charges start floating down, I will shut up and say mea culpa. Okay, good jobs. I understand you took your time.
I think you have, and this doesn't have to be Kash Patel. It could be the spokesperson for the FBI needs to communicate with MAGA what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sorry. I mean, that's in FBI ease or Department of Justice ease, they have to communicate to the American people who put them there. Don't disappear for months and expect us to support you. We've been through too much, bro.
Or at least like Bongino,
have a press conference.
Call Charlie Kirk, or talk to some of the top, figures.
Just have I mean, remember how many times Ray had press conferences over and over and over and over again. Dead silence makes people think of conspiracies.
Mm-hmm.
Dead silence to MAGA, people's heads start spinning, Eric.
Well, and that's something you did. You compared Merrick Garland versus Bondi in the same time.
500 arrests by Merrick Garland in the same period of time. I took it into May, and not only is it doable, he did it. I mean, a lot of these were J6ers, but he used the FBI to track them down like dogs and drag them into prison. Because people were saying, well, she just got there, Mark. You have to have patience. I don't have patience for it, and neither does the other MAGA people have patience for this. We don't have all the time in the world for. I wish we did, but we don't. We don't. I'm sorry, we don't have the time.
Yeah. All right. So I saw this headline, and I know that you're our cultural correspondent from Hollywood. Did you see this, that Timothy Chalamet and Kylie Jenner? So I'm like, oh God, he's with the damn Kardashians.
Yeah, no, that's a weird couple.
Threatened to skip the award show, the Golden Globes, I guess, over a Nikki Glaser joke.
Directed at them, or what was the joke?
Yeah. Let me see. The joke was poking fun at his mustache and voice work. Let me see if I can find the actual. Timothy Chalamet, you have the most gorgeous eyelashes on your upper lip.
That's funny.
Yeah.
She's become a real disappointment. She came out yesterday saying she fears that she'll be incarcerated by Trump into a concentration camp. She's done. All the hope I had for this broad just went out the window yesterday. She was at a New York Times sit-down thing on a stage with somebody from the New York Times at like the 63rd Street Y or something. And she was saying she fears being incarcerated for her jokes and other insane bullshit that they now have to turn against her and kill her.
All right. Well, and I guess her other joke was, you were so good, and in a complete unknown as Bob Dylan, I read that your singing voice was so accurate that even Bob Dylan admitted it was absolutely horrible.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a bad joke, but I'm saying that her fears of being incarcerated by Trump are obviously delusional.
Yeah. So she fits right in with
she
the
fits
rest
right
of the
in.
crowd.
I thought she was apolitical. I thought that she was going to go down the middle and not pick sides. And speak truth to power. And she was until she got here at this level of fame. And now she had to choose a side.
I guess somebody, Susan or Maud just said that Roseanne gave her first start.
That's true. Yeah, from what I heard. I don't know if that's true, but some payback to your mentor.
Well, yeah, look how well Roseanne has done with the people she got going with her show.
Yeah.
I forgot that lesbian who just completely knifed her so hard. Who has a daytime she has a daytime
Ellen
show.
DeGeneres?
No. I forgot her name. She's like chat, rescue me. No, they're not coming through yet. Eventually,
okay. This is
not Bernhardt. It wasn't Bernhardt.
No.
Sarah Gilbert. Thank you, Sarah Gilbert.
Sarah Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie.
No,
that's okay.
That's
Sarah Gilbert.
Leader. Isn't that Melissa Gilbert?
Oh, Melissa Gilbert. I'm sorry. Right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. No, Sarah Gilbert. She totally stabbed her. The whole cast kind of stabbed her.
Wow.
Got her show yanked from her. It is sad.
Wow.
I mean, Roseanne's crazy, but I think her heart's in the right place.
Right.
Pew Pew said, "No pattern, no play."
What does that mean?
I think he's talking about the test pattern that goes up
at
while
the
we're
end
switching
of the show.
vocals.
Yeah.
Last time we didn't have it on Tuesday, and it caused the Spectrum heads to explode.
Oh, the Spectrum exploded.
That's
Holy crap. I thought the flag was a good pacifier.
That's to gently ease them out.
Wow.
Rockin' Doc with a super sticker. Thank you.
We're going to be serving fluoride drinks in Dallas, Eric and I, to anyone who wants to engage in the autistic cocktails we'll be serving there.
All right. Well, Dick Dickerson's saying the video was debunked. Cop is at least 30 feet from the SUV. There's another video showing that.
Oh, we'll find out by Greg Kelly. He's got a show tonight to talk about it.
Well, at least I'm surprised. Has he been attacking Hegseth lately?
No, he didn't say a word. He says he's doing a great job.
Oh, which is funny because now, as much as he went off about Hegseth,
he's not doing it. He's not doing it.
That's weird.
I mean, he wants answers to Butler, Pennsylvania. He wants answers to Matthew Crooks. No, I know, but I'm saying he's a talking head on the news, and nobody's addressing Matthew Crooks. Nobody's addressing the Ruth-Ukraine connection. And I don't mean Ruth Payne. I mean this Ruth from the Ukraine who Ryan Ruth. I mean, nobody's addressing these things.
Well, there is some stuff going on with Ruth. They've started releasing some things, but yeah, Crooks is just kind of like, he's done.
Crooks is a complete enigma. I mean, Jefferson Morley said in the JFK situation in Washington in front of Luna that there's no conspiracy with Matthew Crooks. He said no.
To his credit, Oliver Stone.
Yeah, to the opposite.
He saw there's parallels.
Of course. Here. What people don't understand about the JFK research community is it is all coming from the left. That's how it started because JFK was a Democrat. So you have a lot of them who are leftist liberals even now, even to this day, and they are blinded like they are in many areas of their life to certain situations in general, like Jefferson Morley saying there's no conspiracy with Matthew Crooks. He has no idea, of course, but he quickly said no. And, Oliver, to his credit, said, yeah, I want to know more about Matthew Crooks. I mean, that's more of an open-minded guy.
Right. Well, Oliver also, I think you said, I haven't seen Nixon, but, he gave him a fair shake.
Oh, absolutely.
He gave Bush a fair shake. So Oliver does seem to want to dig into.
He's not an ideologue. He's just
a person, right? Even though he's got his opinions.
He's not an ideologue. I was watching Dick Russell with Jefferson Morley on a video, and both of them. This is an awkward video. I'll send you a copy of it. I saw it yesterday.
Yeah, please.
It's fascinating interview by Morley of Dick Russell. And Dick Russell at the end says he's a progressive Democrat, and Morley says that he's a liberal Democrat. At the end, they both hate Trump's guts. At the end, this is all about JFK, but of course, they're being honest. And awkwardly, Dick Russell is supporting RFK. Now, this is February of 2024. He does not know that RFK in July of that same year is going to endorse Trump. And I'm watching this going, yeah. It was great. It was great. So they're comparing notes, and then Morley starts to grill him at the end about RFK. And it goes separate from the JFK assassination stuff. But fascinating interview. What I'm saying is all of these cats, for the most part, are from the far left. And when we had Paul Blow on, it took me 5 minutes to explain the LBJ situation to him. He had never even thought about it because it's an untouchable, ungoable thing in the JFK community to go down that LBJ road.
Well, it's kind of funny to watch because it's confusing to them. You know,
yeah,
like,
it's cognitive dissonance.
Well, yeah, quite. Yes. It's happening in real time because D. Eugenio, you know, he's had to admit, it's like, there's no way he voted for Trump.
Right.
But they're all shocked because they're like, the guy who's actually releasing the documents is Trump. And Oliver Stone is talking about the only senators who were serious were all Republicans asking
they speak
questions.
highly of Luna. All of them. How highly do they speak of this poll dancer?
Not senator, sorry, Congress people, but
Congress people.
The reps, you know, the reps from the right asked actual questions, and the people on the left, and you can just see where it's so mind blowing to them, because it's not like well, I mean, Frank Church was a Democrat, right?
From Idaho, yeah.
Exactly. So they're thinking, you know, obviously the truth seekers are going to be a Democrat like Frank Church, but it's like, well, no more, they're gone.
Right. To get back to the Dick Russell interview, and he's got a new book he's working on. He said he'd come on after the book was done. Dick Russell's every single time he says the people behind the assassination are extreme far right wingers. To this day, he still says that. He still says it's Willoughby out of Texas. It's the far right that killed. It's the Birchers, and there's no evidence of that, but it's in their DNA. They can't believe that, and they defend Russia, saying Russia wouldn't do this, Castro wouldn't do this, and I happen to agree with them. But their knee-jerk reaction that the far right did it is because they are far left. It fits into their worldview. And it hampers your investigative ability. It really does. It really hampers it. If that's the way, if you're so blind to not looking at LBJ, who had means, motive, opportunity, then there's something wrong. There's really something wrong.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Duke Raoul's a new member. Thank you. And let's see, graphic attack. Was that graphic attack?
Regulatory agent.
Graphicattack.com. Okay, hey guys. Great show. You are in my
regular rotation, man.
Rotation. Yeah, sometimes it's hard for me to see it too. Regular rotation with dark journalist. Question: when do they change Elm Street to Commerce and Dealey?
I guess he's talking about the parade route. A couple of days before by a guy who, when he died, right before he died or right after he died, it was revealed he was a CIA contract agent himself, and that's Mayor Cabell of Dallas. They didn't know he was CIA. What's that?
So both brothers.
Well, one brother was second in command of the CIA, but I'm saying the mayor of Dallas, it was not revealed till after he died that he worked for the Central Intelligence Agency as a mayor of Dallas. I mean, it's a little much. But we got into this debate with somebody in the comment section or somewhere yesterday about Connolly and Bruno going at it to change the parade route. To answer that question,
well, Paul Blow, we were talking about.
Oh, with Paul Blow, and changing the parade route. How adamant John Connolly was of going to the Trade Mart, because going to the Trade Mart itself altered the parade route because the women's building is in the other direction, and going to the Trade Mart, and how he may or may not have faked this phone call to Kenny O'Donnell while in the presence of Jerry Bruno, the advance man. There was some discussion I had yesterday with somebody in the comment section about it. And he went to the book Advance Man and pulled up the page. And I said, if you look at the page, it's obvious that whatever Connolly said to O'Donnell, he lied to Jerry Bruno when he got off the phone, because he simply said, yeah, O'Donnell agrees with me, which was a lie. Which is my whole point that Jerry Bruno brought up. Now, Jerry Bruno was deposed long deposition by the House Assassinations Committee, talking about the intense battle that he's never experienced in his life about selecting a place for a event as an advance man, and how the Secret Service agreed with him. And one man stopped that entire thing through nefarious means, and that was John Connolly. That's a fact. That's a fact. I mean, you could say you love John Connolly all you want. The fact of the matter is, by John Connolly's action, they went on that route, and then that dog turn that ended up leading them back to the Stemmons Freeway, which was why that was selected to go to the trademark.
Amazing.
Yeah. Dude, let me tell you something. The amount of work that they put into this thing is so breathtaking and so enormous that it boggles the mind that they were able to pull this off in 1962, 63. I mean, the Mexico City alone, the level that they went to down there to cover that up and to exploit it and create it, separate from the shooting, separate from Dealey Plaza, separate from the autopsy. I mean, the levels of this thing are so huge, Eric. It shows you just how deep the deep state was in 1962 and 63.
Well, they were well practiced at regime change.
What's that?
They were well practiced at regime change.
Yeah, but this is so much more than regime change. Regime change, like going in to get our Benz in Guatemala, was kind of fun. He kind of fled. They did some propaganda through radio and everything else. I'm talking about altering an autopsy, shooting people, having a phony defector being set up as a patsy months before in Mexico City with phony tapes. I mean, whoa, the levels that they went to.
Look what they did. I mean,
I know, but the fact of the matter is they pulled it off.
Essentially, yeah.
And so many people are in on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they had limited visibility of it. It definitely was siloed.
Yeah,
I'm sure all over the place. Like, you're doing this thing, you're doing this thing, and back then there was a lot more discipline of your soldier, do your damn part, don't get curious, don't think beyond that.
Yeah,
etc. Plus, they hated Kennedy's guts. I mean,
well, I don't even think it's that emotional at that point. I mean, these admirals who were ordering around the two doctors in the Bethesda autopsy, I don't think they're thinking, I hate this guy's guts at this point. They're following orders, Eric.
No, they're following orders. But what I'm saying is that
emotionally, you might be right. I mean,
well, okay, but how do I put it? They're following orders. They think they're doing the right thing for the country in following their orders. And they're like, they don't have any sympathy for the guy they thought as a
right. But I think
so. It's like,
I agree.
It's not like they're going to be rushing to whistleblow.
Truth be told, it could have been Nixon, and they would have done the same thing, following their orders. I don't think it matters. I mean, when they were carrying out the CIA Watergate trap of Nixon, I don't think people said, I support Nixon, I'm not going to do this. I mean, James McCord is involved in that. People on the right are involved in that.
I'm just saying that I think that they're less likely to whistleblow. It's what I'm talking about.
Dude, anyone who was a whistleblower in this thing got their head blown off. I mean, there were no whistleblowers in this case.
So let me see. George Toth, great show at all levels. Thank you. And Vince D. Great show, guys. Camping World has been getting daily fines for several years.
Oh, all right. Well, that's what I had read that. I wasn't sure how much it hampered the guy's business, but he mentioned that in the article. I forget the guy's name who owns it, but he was fined, I guess, repeatedly and absorbed it.
Yeah.
I mean, that
happened in California. They had some restaurants that wanted to keep allowing smoking, and they had like a fine jar at the front or whatever. I think that people kept throwing money into for a long time. But
yeah, well, I mean, you should have that right to at least pay the fine.
Yeah, or I actually think that they should have a right to have a smoking restaurant.
Oh yeah, I don't see.
I mean, it's like,
well, it's always about the imaginary workers. By the way, the Barbara Lee is now the mayor of Oakland. I don't know if she's the temporary mayor of Oakland. This is a far left 78-year-old black woman who's now, because the mayor is going to jail, the Chinese mayor is going to jail, So they're going to have a special election in 2026. So she'll be mayor for 18 months or so. She famously has insisted that the minimum wage for fast food workers has to be $50 an hour.
Why not? I mean, seriously, the whole minimum wage thing is a joke anyway. It's like, well, why 20? Why not 30? Why not 40? Why not 50?
She wants it to be 50
hey,
in Oakland. And Oakland is a barren wasteland of a city. It just got 100 times worse because this woman is so old and decrepit and so far left that in the next 18 months, she's going to run it completely into the ground. Most California politicians are afraid to go there, not because of crime, but because of political exposure of a completely failed city. So they don't go there or comment on anything about Oakland because it's a no-win situation for anybody who's a leftist Democrat in California.
Yeah, it's probably like a Briar Rabbit, right?
I don't know what is a Briar? Is that a story of a
a tar baby or whatever? You know, like they'll stick to it if they're going into.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
All right. Well, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be heading into our safe zone, our safe space where everybody is kind and polite, mostly. Got a couple of people, a couple malevolent types in there who are posting Dorothy Kilgallen pictures waiting for us.
I want to talk about the new task force by Pam Blondie to eradicate Christian bias. I want to talk about that task force.
All right, well, we could do that in local. So,
and then Harry Sisson, who had said that the Pope dissed J.D. Vance before he died, but there's a photo of
J.D. Vance literally.
Can we show that when we go over there?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Harry Sisson's an idiot.
Who is that guy?
He's a TikToker that for Biden. He was on the payroll.
Okay,
he's just a complete little twit. So, all right, well, we're gonna head over to locals. It's free. Go ahead, follow us over. There's no commercials. You could be a member for free. Continue right on. And we're going to be taking some questions there, and we'll see you momentarily.